Hello and welcome everyone to our webinar today on strengthening employee recruitment and selection processes in Niagara. My name is Sarah Webster. I'm Knowledge Broker with Niagara Connects, and we're hosting this webinar today in partnership with Job Gym Niagara. Also helping us out today in the online meeting room is Sarah Johnston, also from Niagara Connects, who's acting as chairperson in the meeting room. And I believe we also have on our Executive Director, Mary Wiley. So thank you for joining us. If this is your first webinar with us, welcome. Obviously the audio is coming through the phone line here. Please do make sure that you also click the link to join us in the online meeting room so that you can see the slides. We do mute all of our participant lines, and that just helps us cut down on all the inevitable background noise that can happen during these events. But certainly if you have any questions or comments during the presentation, you can use the chat pod down the left-hand side of your screen to put any comments or questions forward, and we'll certainly save time at the end of our hour together to address those in a discussion period. We also do record all of our webinars, and we post them to the Niagara Knowledge Exchange. And we'll also send you out a package, so you'll get an email within about a week or so, and that'll include a link to the recording, a PDF of the slides, and other resources that we'll certainly talk about today. So I saw there was a question about if people had to take notes. Not at all. You just get to sit back and relax and enjoy the content that's going to be coming to you, and then you'll receive that package afterwards. And we certainly do encourage you to then share that material with any colleagues in your own networks that might not have been able to join us today. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our fantastic trio of presenters today, Ashley Flett, Amber Tremblay, and Melissa Wilson, all job developers from Job Gym Employment Services. And I believe it's Ashley who is taking us away. Go ahead, Ashley.
Wonderful, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us today. We are really excited to be able to share some information with you and talk about how we can help. We know that the hiring process can be a little bit of a challenge, but we're about to give you a whole lot of information, and we're hoping that the information we do provide to you today will make these processes a little bit easier for you and assist in some cost recovery as well. So the first topic that we're going to talk about is recruitment and selection. So this is one of the added value services that we can offer employers to assist them in making the right hiring decision. We're going to kick things off with a little poll today, just so we know what we're dealing with. How much time do you spend in a month reviewing resumes? So 1 to 2 hours, 2 to 4, 4 to 6, 6 to 12, or over 12 hours. So if everyone could just take a minute and click on how much time they spend personally reviewing resumes. We'll give everyone a minute to answer. Okay. Okay, so as you can see, most people spend 1 to 2 hours in the group today. However, that is a lot of time you could be using to do more productive things. So according to a study done by Robert Half, I'm not sure if any of you have heard of the Robert Half International Company. They're a well-known staffing agency and an HR consulting firm. Their Canadian branch did this study that included 300 senior managers from companies with 20 staff or more. They determined the following. So employers on average review 34 resumes per opening and spend approximately 13 minutes on each resume. Managers interview an average of 13 people per position, which can last up to 26 minutes per meeting. So when you break this down, you're spending 7 hours on resumes and 5 on interviews, and that's just for one position. So you can imagine how much time you're actually spending when you're hiring for multiple positions. Don't you think those 12 hours could be spent doing something a little bit better or more productive? So just to make sure you're all still with me here, I have another question for you. Have you ever thought you found the perfect candidate on paper and then you brought them in for an interview and realized they were less than impressive? So again, I'll give everybody a minute to answer this. Okay, so as you can see, 100% of the people in the meeting today said yes. They have brought somebody in and this person was less than impressive. So based on the same survey done by the Robert Half Canada branch, 1/3 or 29% said that it's very common that applicants with promising resumes don't live up to the expectations when brought in for an interview. So now that we shared the harsh reality of how time-consuming recruitment and selection is, you may be sitting at your computer thinking, how can I make this process a little bit easier? Don't worry though, we're here to help. One of our added value services that we like to offer employers is the opportunity to allow us to be your off-site human resource department. So our business development team can do recruitment on your behalf, and if you choose, we can actually keep your company name confidential. Some employers do prefer to do this so that they don't have job seekers stopping in all the time, or so they don't have job seekers applying outside of the posting instructions. So first, we'll work with you one-on-one to determine what exactly you're looking for in a candidate. So we find out what the skill set the candidate must have, the qualifications they require to do the job, and we also like to learn a little bit more about your business so that we can find the right candidate and ensure they're a good fit for your organization. We do have internal job seekers that our employment counselors are meeting with one-on-one, and they may be suitable for the position that you're screening for. So if this is the case, we'll have you meet with that candidate to ensure you feel they're a good fit, and then move into the cost recovery portion of the program. If our internal job seekers aren't suitable, we'll start the recruitment process. So based on the information that we gathered from you, we develop a job posting, if you don't have one already. We ensure it's going to get some attention. We'll also post the positions on our website, so jobgym.com. We can post on Indeed, Service Canada, and we also post on all of our social media platforms for you, so Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Our website itself gets about 25,000 hits per month. Our job board is 100,000 hits per month. 8,000 to 10,000 of those hits are unique users, so it does get a lot of action. Our social media platforms reach 35,000 people per month, and our Facebook page has over 2,300 likes, and that's continuing to grow. So your hits or your postings are more than likely going to get noticed. So we will then have the applicants apply to us directly, so either through email, in person, and based on what you're looking for in a candidate, we can have them complete applications on site or do any testing that may be required for the job. So this means you'll never have to look at the candidates who don't meet any of the job requirements. So at this point, we can either send you the resumes of the qualified candidates, or we can go one step further and do preliminary interviewing for you. So we can develop a list of behavior-based questions and provide you with a scored interview package for each candidate who successfully passed the interview. Or if you prefer, we can ask questions that you've developed and have them complete any skills-based testing pertaining to the job. We will then provide you with a short list of candidates that are suitable for your position and that have passed the interview process. If you wish to see all the candidates, we can definitely provide you with that as well. So one of the other services that we offer are job fairs. We have a lot of employers take advantage of this. So this is helpful if you expect to have a lot of applicants or if you're hiring for multiple different positions. We can do job fairs in different ways. We could do pre-registered job fairs where you have scheduled interviews all day, or we could have drop-in job fairs so you get the chance to meet with everyone. We do have sites in Welland, St. Catharines, and Fort Erie to accommodate your needs for job fairs, and we can assist you in planning job fairs off-site as well. So I hope that made you a little bit more optimistic about the hiring process, but let's see if we can make it any better. How invested are you in reference checks? I'll give everyone a minute to select the answer that suits them. Okay. So most people in the room do reference checks. About 15% of the people rarely do reference checks. So let's talk a little bit about the costs that are associated in making the wrong hire. So wrong hires could cost your business financially. So think about all the money you're putting into their training only to find out they're not planning on staying, they're not dedicated, they're not the right fit. There also could be costs associated with letting someone go if it comes to this. Stress. So wrong hires can not only cause you stress, but could be stressful for other employees who have to work extra hours or do extra tasks. Legal complications. So this is never a fun thing to talk about, but there could definitely be some legal complications if attempting to let someone go or if you don't do your due diligence as an employer. Productivity loss. So this is a given. If you make a wrong hire, your business could suffer as you aren't staffed enough to produce or the staff that you have aren't motivated to produce. Loss in customers or consumers. So we all know that customers and clients are the driving force to any business. If your wrong hire is costing you these customers, you will in turn lose your revenue for your business. Making a wrong hire will also impact your workplace morale. So one person can cause a great deal of toxicity in the workplace and ultimately ruining your workplace morale. So doing these reference checks can sometimes help you avoid this. If the last slide wasn't enough to get you thinking more about reference checks, here are a few more reasons. So past performance is usually a good indicator of future performance. You may reduce the high cost of turnover by screening in employees who stay longer. You could potentially reduce losses from employee theft, fraud, absenteeism, and workplace violence. And you could reduce training costs, increase productivity, enhance professionalism. So allowing us to do your reference checks for you will definitely save you some time to focus on your business and could ultimately assist in ensuring you make the right hire. So best of all, if you're not sold yet, all of our services are 100% free. We are funded through the Ministry of Advanced Education and Skills Development to offer these programs to you at no cost. So on that note, since we all like to save money, I'm going to turn things over to Amber. Amber's going to talk to you about some of the cost recovery strategies.
So hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. So today I'm going to go through the various cost recovery strategies through Employment Ontario that may be able to benefit your business. So these programs offer both hiring incentives and supports to employers. So I'm going to go through the details of each program and what makes you eligible as an employer to access them. So before I get started, I'm just going to start with a quick poll. So we're interested to know how much it costs you to hire and train a new employee. So do you spend $100 to $500, $500 to $1,000, $1,000 to $5,000, or over $5,000? So I'll give everyone a minute to choose, and then we will review the results together. Okay, so it looks like most people said $1,000 to $5,000 that they spend on average to hire and train a new employee. So we've done some research on this question as well, and we found that on average an employer spends between $2,000 and $5,000 to recruit, hire, and train a new staff member. So today the programs that I'm going to go through with you are going to assist you in alleviating those costs. So through Employment Ontario, there are various programs to assist you with the cost of hiring a new employee and with training costs. So you'll see here there's a list of various programs including our regular employment service program, Youth Job Connection, Summer Youth Job Connection, Youth Job Link, and Employing Young Talent Incentive. So I'm going to go through each of them with you today, and first I'm going to start by discussing our regular employment service program. So employment service is the general program that we offer job trials and training contracts through. So typically we start with a job trial where the employer is reimbursed $14 per hour up to 40 hours per week for candidates for the first few weeks of employment. So each placement incentive is negotiated based on the job seeker's skill set, experience, and the employer's training plan. So in addition to the support and wages, each candidate will come to you with the 4 steps to workers' awareness training. So this is beneficial because as an employer, you're legally required to provide this training to all new staff. This program also offers employment counseling and coaching. So if there are any issues or concerns that come up while you are training one of our candidates, our staff can provide the support in working with that person to help make the necessary changes to perform better on the job. So our action plans are also developed specifically around the employer as well as the candidate's needs. So an individualized approach is always taken. So next I'm going to go through the Youth Job Connection program with you. This program is targeted towards youth aged 15 to 29 who face various challenges to finding employment. So participants come in to complete 3 weeks of 90 hours of pre-employment training to get them job ready. So in order for participants to complete the program, they require a job placement. So there's hiring incentives available upon hire of one of our SYJC candidates. So placement incentives are determined on an individual basis and can go up to a maximum of 26 weeks. Supports are also provided to our participants participants as well, so they can make work-related purchases. So for example, if they require work boots, we can purchase these for them, or if they need working at height, say for a position with you, we can cover the cost for that as well. So how can the Youth Job Connection Program benefit you? So each participant completes 90 hours of pre-employment, which will get them job ready and will prepare them for employment with you. So they cover various topics and activities, including but not limited to life skills, employer expectations, workplace simulations, job maintenance, etc. Transportation, mental health, and housing are just a few of the challenges our youth may face, and we have the supports and resources in place to assist our youth with this. So whether it be providing a bus pass to them, referring to mental health counseling, etc., we have all those supports and resources in place. We also monitor each placement to ensure it is successful as well. So we'll do this by touching base with yourself and the client, either weekly or biweekly during their placement. We also encourage employers to contact us as well if they have any issues, and we'll act as the mediator to resolve any issues that may come up. We also complete monthly site visits as well to support both the employer and the participant. So next I'm going to discuss the summer stream of the Youth Job Connection Program. So Youth Job Connection Summer provides summer job opportunities and part-time placements during the school year to help multi-barriered high school students age 15 to 18 make positive educational career choices. So the focus will be on those facing challenging life circumstances and who are at risk of experiencing poor transitions between education and work. So placement incentives are also available through this program and are determined on an individual basis and can go up to 8 weeks in duration. So like the Youth Job Connection Program, each participant in the YJC Summer Program will participate in 20 hours of pre-employment to prepare them for employment. Supports are also in place to address the various issues such as transportation, housing, mental health, counseling, etc. So in the YJC Summer Stream, we'll also keep in touch with both the employer and the client to ensure the placement is successful. An on-site monitor is also completed as well in this program, and supports are also available for the individual to make work-related purchases if they're required. So for example, the same thing like our regular Youth Job Connection Program, if our candidates do require the work clothing, work boots, or some sort of training for their new position, we can usually cover these costs as well. So next I'm going to discuss the Youth Job Link Program. So this program is aimed at youth aged 15 to 29, including students who don't face any significant barriers to employment and have never had a job before. So a client registered in this program will receive access to job search resources and information to help them transition to the labor market, which includes summer employment. So in this program, there's up to $300 available per participant. The $300 can be used for employer incentives to offset the cost of on-the-job training, but it can also be used for employment supports for the client as well. The primary benefit of the Youth Job Link program is that you have access to students and or youth who do not face many barriers to employment and are ready to work. So next I'm going to go through the various eligibility requirements that you need to participate in any of our programs. So you'll see them listed here. Employers must be licensed to operate in Ontario. They must comply with the Occupational Health and Safety Act and Employment Standards Act. They must have WSIB or alternative workplace safety insurance, as well as third-party liability coverage. You must also comply with all applicable federal and provincial human rights and labor legislation, regulations, and any other relevant standards. The job placement that you're providing for our candidates must also be taking place in Ontario. Employers are not able to hire his or her immediate family member as well too. An employer is not able to receive government funds from any other source for the same person. You're also not able to use placement services to replace existing or laid off staff. And finally, you must not be an Employment Ontario service provider. So I understand this is a lot of information, so at the end we're definitely going to provide you with a handout with all the information that we cover today, as well as a copy of the slides. So next I'm just going to do another quick poll here. So do you hire youth and or students, yes or no? So I'll give you a few minutes to respond, and then we'll go through the results together again. Okay, so it looks like the majority of you do hire youth and students. So for those of you who do hire youth and students, we have a few new programs for youth, age 15 to 29, that you may be interested in that I'm going to go through with you. So both programs are called Employing Young Talent Incentive. However, one is through our regular employment service program, and one is through our Youth Job Connection program. So employing young talent incentive through employment service is an incentive that supports small businesses to hire and retain youth aged 15 to 29. So employers are eligible for up to $2,000. Eligible employers will receive $1,000 when they hire a participant and another $1,000 incentive for retaining that youth at 6 months. So to access this program, you must have fewer than 100 employees, including part-time and full-time employees. Hire the candidate for at least 20 hours per week to receive the first incentive of $1,000, and you must also retain the youth hired at a minimum of 20 hours per week to receive the second incentive of $1,000. You must also be licensed to operate in Ontario and provide the job in Ontario as well. So as an employer, you're not able to refer any employees in that you have already planned to hire, so we would have to send the candidates to you. Like our other programs, you're also not able to hire any immediate family members. You're also not able to be receiving any other government funds for the same person. You must not use any new hires with the employing young talent incentive to replace any existing staff, and must not be a federal, provincial, or municipal government or agency or designated broader public sector organization. You must also not hire youth through a temporary employment agency or be a temporary employment agency. And finally, you must also not be receiving an employment service placement incentive through the employment service program that was previously discussed for the same youth. So next, I'm going to discuss the Employing Young Talent Incentive Program through the Youth Job Connection Program. So this program supports businesses to retain youth hired through the use of Youth Job Connection through the program of job matching or job placements. So employers of any size receive a payment of $1,000 3 months after the placement is completed and another $1,000 for training the individual for 6 months after their placement. So to access the Employing Young Talent Incentive through the YJC program, you must hire the YJC participant for a job that averages at least 20 hours per week. You must also retain the hired YJC participant in a job that averages at least 20 hours per week for 3 months after the completion of the job placement to receive the first payment of $1,000. So for the second payment, you must retain the hired YJC participant in a job that averages at least 20 hours per week for 6 months after the job placement. You must also be licensed to operate in Ontario and provide the job in Ontario. So employers must not refer current employees or individuals they already plan to hire, like the previous program. So the individuals must be Youth Job Connection candidates that have completed the 90 hours of pre-employment that you have hired through the program. You must also not hire immediate family members or be receiving other government funds for the same person. You're also not able to use new hires with the Employing Young Talent Incentive to displace existing staff. You must not also be a federal or provincial government and or agency. Finally, you also must not hire the youth through a temporary employment agency or be a temporary employment agency. So next I'm just going to do another quick poll. So have you ever struggled to deal with issues with an employee, yes or no? Just give you a minute to answer that. Okay, so it looks like many of you, or all of you, have struggled to deal with issues with an employee. So one of the primary benefits of our program is that we'll assist you to smooth over any of these issues that you may be having. We act as a mediator with our candidates on placement. We also will keep in contact with yourself and our candidates just to ensure everything is going well on placement. We also encourage you to contact us if you're having any issues, and we can discuss this issue with the client as well too. As Ashley also mentioned earlier, you can also contact us at any time with any HR-related questions, and we will definitely guide you in the right direction. So next I'm going to pass you along to Melissa, and she's going to discuss any other government grants.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Melissa Wilson, so I am part of the business development team here at JobGem. So I am going to go through some other grants that are available. There's quite a few grants available. So I'm going to give you just a brief summary on some of the ones that are more able to be utilized here in Southern Ontario. I do want to start with a poll, though, that outlines what sector you would be falling into. So if you can go ahead and just click the sector that your business falls into, and I'll give everybody a couple minutes to do that. Okay, so lots in education law and government. Okay, so this just gives a good outline too, because when you are doing some research for grants, you can look at your sector specifically. I've done an overall of various grants. So the first two grants that I'm going to talk about, which will be brief because no one's really based in agriculture, the grants are through Agriculture and Agri-Foods Canada. So the first one is the Agricultural Youth Green Jobs Initiative. So if your organization is in agriculture, you can apply to receive up to $10,000 to cover half the salary and benefits of a youth intern to help implement environmentally beneficial projects. So your interns must be 30 years or younger. This can include high school students, and the length can be up to 12 months, but this grant does need to be completed by March 2019. The second agricultural grant that I'm going to talk about is the Agricultural Youth Green Jobs Initiative. So this is a wage subsidy to fund internships for post-secondary graduates to undertake environmentally beneficial activities, services, or research in an agricultural sector organization. You can receive up to $16,000 to recover a portion of the salary and benefits of the youth intern. Again, this length cannot be more than 12 months, and it must be completed by March 2019. So the next grant I'm going to talk about is a common grant offered through Service Canada. It's the Canada Summer Jobs Grant. So previously we saw that a lot of people have been hiring students, so you might have accessed this grant. If not, it's a great grant to look at. If you're a small business with no more than 50 employees, you have to meet the priorities set out by the region, and you are hiring youth between 15 and 30. You could be eligible for 50% of the salary for the eligible student. So this grant is open to employers the first couple months of every year, and the application deadline is very, very short. So the next grant I will talk about is through the Ministry of Finance, and that's a cooperative education tax credit. So if you hire a student who is enrolled in a co-op education program that is from a recognized university or college, you can be eligible for the tax credit of up to $3,000 per placement. So you must hire the student for a minimum of 10 weeks up to a maximum of 4 months. The next grant is the Youth Employment Program through the National Research Council. So you can receive a financial contribution towards the salary of a post-secondary graduate to help you research, develop and commercialize new technologies, or hire youth to work on a green project. The eligibility for this program is that a business needs to be incorporated or for-profit, share a portion of the cost of the salary, have 500 or fewer full-time employees, and be ready to enhance innovation capacity. So career focus, this is another grant offered through Service Canada. So if you offer career-related work experience to young people between ages of 15 and 30, you could be eligible for financial assistance. So as an employer, you need to hire 8 or more recruits, offer between 6 and 12 months worth of work that improves the skills of the recruits, and provide coaching and or mentoring. So another Service Canada grant is SkillsLink. So you can get up to $25,000 per participant to hire and train youth between the ages of 15 and 30 who face barriers to employment. So participants must be Canadian citizens, legally entitled to work, and not in receipt of EI. As an employer, you must recruit the participant, propose a project that involves a minimum of 8 youth participants, provide work experience type activity, and enable participants to gain experience and skills to help them find work later on. So next is the Opportunities Fund. So this is through Employment and Social Development Canada. So if you are a person with a disability or wants to start their own business, or an employer who is interested in hiring someone with a disability, you could qualify for funds. Employers can receive funding to cover a portion of the salary. Projects must normally involve a minimum of 8 participants. The Ontario Job Creation Partnership Program, that's brought to you by the Ministry of Advanced Education and Skills Development. So this is a program, if you need an employee for a new business project, you could be eligible for OJCP. The person you hire would be paid from the program. The project should have fixed start and end dates, be new, and in addition to any normal projects, offer meaningful work experience, and be a benefit to the community or local economy. So the College and Institutes Canada Clean Tech Internship brought by the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change Canada. So if your business is in one of the STEM fields, you might be eligible to hire an intern for a new environmental or clean tech position or project. The program can offer a wage subsidy of up to $15,000 and can offer pre-approved skilled graduates. Environmental Youth Corp internship brought by ECO Canada. Again, it is for a STEM field business. You could hire a young professional for a full-time environmental position. You would be eligible for a wage subsidy up to $15,000 and again be able to choose from pre-approved skilled graduates. Green Jobs brought by Science and Technology Internship Program through Natural Resources Canada. So if you operate a business in geomatics, geology, mining, forestry, or in the energy industry, you could get between $12,000 and $15,000 to hire a recent university or college grad in a natural science field for an internship up to 12 weeks. Canada Green Corp, this is through United Nations Association in Canada. So if you're a business or not-for-profit and looking to reduce your environmental footprint or increase sustainability, you can apply for a wage subsidy to hire an eligible youth. MyTax Career Connect is brought to you by the Government of Canada. So if your company has a project that addresses environmental or climate change related issues, you could be eligible for a wage subsidy up to $12,500 to hire a post-secondary graduate. So IRAP, which is the Industrial Research Assistant Program brought through National Research Council Canada. So IRAP provides innovation and funding services customized to your specific needs to help you accelerate the growth of your business through innovation and technology. So the next few grants and credits that I'm going to talk about relate to apprenticeships. So the first is the Graduated Apprenticeship Grant for Employers that we call GAGE. So as an employer, you can use GAGE to help you with the cost of training an apprentice. You could receive up to $16,700 to train an apprentice in more than 100 eligible trades. If your apprentice is registered in an eligible apprenticeship program after November 14th, 2017, they achieve key milestones like successfully completing levels of classroom training. They receive their final certification, either a certificate of apprenticeship or a certificate of qualification. You could also receive bonuses of up to $2,500 if your apprentice is from an underrepresented group, such as women, Indigenous people, Francophones, people with disabilities, newcomers, or racialized people. The Apprenticeship Training Tax Credit, this is through the Ministry of Finance. So if you hire and train an apprentice, you could be eligible up to $5,000 per year for a maximum of $15,000 over a period of 36 months. Also, the Apprenticeship Job Creation Tax Credit brought to you by Revenue Canada. So if you hire an apprentice, you could also get a tax credit equal to 10% of that person's salary for the but the maximum credit is $2,000 per year per eligible apprentice. Next is the Apprenticeship Employer Signing Bonus. This is brought to you by Ministry of Advanced Education and Skills Development. So you could qualify for $2,000 signing bonus if you hire, register, and train an apprentice from an ES program. So these are the programs Amber spoke about earlier. So an example of this would be if someone at JobGym here were to assist you with hiring an apprentice and you choose to put that individual on a placement through Employment Ontario and provide on-the-job training for at least 6 months from the date the apprenticeship was registered, you could qualify for an Apprenticeship Employer Signing Bonus. So industrial academic collaboration programs, these are from the Ontario Centres of Excellence. So financing and other supports could be available for Ontario technology-based businesses. Funding ranges up to $250,000. Some of the programs may help finance commercialization, resolve technical problems, reduce your cost of hiring skilled professionals, access expert advice. There are far too many programs and projects offered through OCE to list them all. But again, like we said, the slide deck will be provided, and all the links for all of these grants will also be provided along with the presentation. So Ontario Career Connect. This is through Information and Communications Technology Council. So if you can offer a placement in a qualified ICT area for a young graduate, you may be eligible for wage subsidy funding of up to half the candidate's wages for 6 months. So you need to be in a qualifying sector, offer placements in qualifying ICT positions, which St. Catharines is a qualifying sector. ICT positions could include software engineers and designers, computer programmers, interactive media developers, web designers and developers, computer network technicians, graphic designers, and illustrators. So the next is the Ontario Labour Market Partnership. This is again brought through the Ministry of Advanced Education and Skills Development. So if you're an employer or an employee-employer association in Ontario, you could receive funding to assist in developing and implementing strategies for dealing with labour force adjustments and meeting human resource requirements. Your projects should address the labour market issue, include 2 or more partners who contribute resources. Start and end date have to be fixed, and no future funding should be required. So Federal Economic Development Agency for Southern Ontario, often referred to as FedDev. FedDev Ontario delivers programming to help create, retain, and grow businesses, cultivate partnerships, and build strong communities. This will support a strong Southern Ontario economy and position the region to compete globally. Some of the current programs and initiatives through FedDev are Advanced Manufacturing Fund. So this fund promotes continued growth and increased productivity of Ontario's advanced manufacturing sector by supporting large-scale transformative manufacturing activities, advancing adoption of cutting-edge technologies, establishing clusters or global supply chains, and fostering collaboration between the private and higher education and research institutes. Canada 150 Community Infrastructure Program. This supports the renovation, expansion, or improvement of existing community and cultural infrastructure. Economic Development Initiative. This supports businesses and economic development activities that encourage sustainable growth in Southern Ontario's Francophone communities with community strategic planning as well as business and economic development activities. Investing in business growth and productivity. This program assists existing Southern Ontario businesses to adopt new technologies that have the potential to improve productivity and expand their operations. Investing in business innovation. This program fosters a more competitive Southern Ontario economy by encouraging the development of partnerships between entrepreneurs and investors to support early-stage, globally oriented businesses with the ability to become worldwide innovators. Investing in commercialization partnerships. This addresses innovation and commercialization and encourages collaboration to improve Ontario's productivity performance so that the region can compete on an international platform. And the last one through FedDev is investing in regional diversification. So designed to build stronger, more diverse economies in Southern Ontario communities in the long term by leveraging unique assets and local expertise and by creating opportunities for economic growth and development in communities across Southern Ontario. So now that I've completely overwhelmed you with grants and funding information, we're going to take some time for questions, and just a reminder that we will provide the links for all of the grants I just spoke about, as well as you'll have access to the audio as well as the slide deck. So we can open the lines for questions.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. My phone is being a little funny there. Thank you very much for that presentation. Even though I said don't madly take notes, I was madly taking notes myself because that's just a little bit how I learn. But we'll certainly be pulling together quite a resource package for everyone afterwards to share this information back out. So do any of our participants on the phone have any questions or comments? I do see a comment from Tricia. Thanks for the presentation. So thank you for your comment. You can certainly use the chat pod down the left-hand side, although we also have a nice-sized group today. So if you'd rather make a comment or question verbally, you can unmute your individual line by pressing *7. We'll just give a minute or two. Was the information shared today surprising for anyone? Were you familiar with the services offered by JobGym? Were you familiar with the grants that were shared? Or was this kind of all new and you're just trying to take it all in? We have a quiet group on today. One comment is familiar, but definitely lots of information covered, and I'll look forward to receiving the link. Thanks for that. Extremely impressed that the services are offered for free. Yeah, that was surprising for me myself, Leslie, as I'm listening to this. I'm going, oh, like this kind of stuff, like this is great to have, but often you have to, any service in a community, right? You have to pay for it. So certainly when we saw the slide saying 100% free, that was exciting to see. Wayne has said that the audio was a bit intermittent on his end, and is a copy going to be available? Certainly, Wayne. So we'll share a copy of the recording, the slides, and lots of links for more information. So you'll get that to take away with you. Rubina has asked, we often have interviewees that do not want us to contact their references. On our application, we ask, can we contact your supervisor for a reference? And they circled no. So I guess the question to our presenters is, how is that generally, is that what you've seen on your end, and how is that handled?
So we do see it frequently, and normally when we see that, it is because the individual has not told their current employer that they are looking for other work, and frankly don't want to hear, they don't want their employer to hear that they are looking for other work by having a reference check done.
So in this situation, I would probably ask the employee to provide additional references that you could follow up with.
Makes sense. Carolyn has said that some grants are familiar, others are new. And Leslie's commented that she's very surprised at the number of grants available. She wasn't aware of those. And I think that there's this treasure trove out there, and a lot of times we don't have time in our days to go find those. Like, we might have this inkling, right, that there are opportunities for funding or resources out there that could help us strengthen what we're doing within our organizations, but we often just don't know what that is or where to even start looking for that. So I think that what's been presented today is that package of information that can help you at your organization. If nothing else, as a start point, just click some of the links and see what opportunities you can take advantage of, and then certainly reaching out to the good folks at JobGym to enlist their support in making what you're doing a little bit more streamlined, as well as I think a bit stronger in terms of outcomes, considering the process that we heard outlined today. As we're waiting for another question or so, I am going to put up the contact information there so that we keep saying, well, you'll be able to reach out to JobGym, but wouldn't it be nice to reach out directly to the people you heard from today? So all three presenters are listed there with their contact information. And again, we'll provide that afterwards as well. So I don't see any other questions coming in, and I suspect that's just because everyone is taking it all in, and there's a lot of information that was shared today. So I encourage you, as you're kind of digesting this over the next few days, please don't hesitate to reach out to any of the presenters or to our team at Niagara Connects, and we can put you in touch with them. And certainly within about a week, we'll be sending you a resource package with all of this great information included in it. And I encourage you to share that with your colleagues, peers within your organization, in other organizations. Help us get the word out across Niagara about these local as well as provincial and federal resources and supports that are available. So we'll end there, and I'll say a big thank you to all three of our presenters today for coming on, pulling this information together, and sharing a bit more about what's happening in Niagara and some great resources and supports available.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon, everyone. And if you're interested in webinars like this, please do make sure you also register for our Niagara Connects distribution list. Through that, we send out a weekly e-blast with lots of events, resources, blogs that have been added to the Niagara Knowledge Exchange, but we also send out targeted information for webinars like this. So please do consider that, and we'll certainly be in touch as we go forward. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.